Are you in need of a pedestrian accident attorney? In a moment I will give you vital information on what to do in order to proceed with your case. When this video has finished, you know what to do and how to do it. If you have been involved in a pedestrian accident, then don't wait for too long before you seek legal advice. You need someone who is on your side in the process against, for instance, insurance companies or other stakeholders. Having to take on insurance companies and the law without having the legal support that you need can be the difference between a total failure and a total success, or just a success, in your legal case. Don't go through this alone. According to the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the United States, 5,977 pedestrians were killed in traffic crashes in the United States of the year 2017. That's about one death every 88 minutes. Per trip, pedestrians are 1.5 times more likely than passenger vehicle occupants to be killed in a car crash. There are a few groups that are more likely to experience an accident involving a pedestrian. 47% of crashes that resulted in a pedestrian death involved alcohol, either for the driver or the pedestrian or both. 20% of the pedestrian accidents aged 65 and older accounted for deaths. 20% of children under the age of 15 killed in traffic crashes were pedestrians in 2017. Other risk factors are higher vehicle speeds increase both the likelihood of a pedestrian being struck by a car and the severity of injury. Most pedestrian deaths occurred in urban areas at intersection locations and at night. One pedestrian death occurs about every 1.6 hours on the roads and highways in the United States. Among the car and pedestrian accidents, these were the most common cases. Hit and run. When a driver accidentally strikes a pedestrian and the driver stops at the scene like they should, the toughest consequences might be a personal injury lawsuit and possibly a higher car insurance premium. A driver who strikes a pedestrian and then flees the scene will likely face a prison sentence. Alcohol and drugs. After a car-pedestrian accident in which the driver is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, the driver can likely look forward to an arrest and conviction. Striking and injuring a pedestrian while being drunk is likely to cause the driver to face more jail time, higher fines and other penalties such as the driver's license suspension, vehicle manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter. If a pedestrian dies as a result of a traffic accident in which the driver is at fault, that driver may face criminal charges, but only under very special circumstances. Reckless driving. If a driver was operating a vehicle under such an extreme reckless manner right before the accident, for instance driving way too fast in a school zone or driving while being intoxicated, then any pedestrian death resulting from the crash may result in a criminal charge of vehicular manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter. Civil penalties. Personal injury lawsuit or insurance claim. A driver who hits and injures a pedestrian may face a personal injury lawsuit filed by the injured pedestrian, seeking to recover damages, which means compensation for losses caused by the accident. The pedestrian might file a third-party car insurance claim with the driver's insurance company if the driver is at fault. A lawsuit or insurance claim will first seek to establish the driver's fault for the accident, proving that he or she was negligent. This can be done by taking statements from witnesses and the parties involved in the accident, and examining any police report prepared after the crash. The injured pedestrian can ask the at-fault driver for compensation for all injuries and damages associated with the accident, paying the medical treatment, lost income due to inability to work, pain and suffering caused by the crash. Most injury-related car accident claims are solved through the driver's car insurance carrier with an out-of-court settlement, but in some cases insurance might not always apply, as with a personal injury lawsuit after a car accident with a drunk driver. You need a pedestrian accident attorney to handle your claims. It's so obvious. Wrongful death lawsuit. Pedestrian death account for over 10% of all traffic accident-related deaths. This kind of claim will first seek to establish the driver's negligence in causing the accident, and then ask for compensation for the survivor's losses, including loss of a deceased support, lost companionship, funeral expenses, etc. Can a pedestrian be at fault in a car-pedestrian accident? Well, even though pedestrians generally have the right of way, there are situations where they can be liable for an accident involving a car. When we think about fault for traffic accidents between cars and pedestrians, our initial assumption is probably that the driver of a vehicle is to blame. Most of us have probably heard pedestrian has a right of way, but that isn't always correct from a legal perspective. In a pedestrian vehicle accident, the pedestrian can actually be at fault, in part or in full. Here are a few common scenarios under which a pedestrian may be found at least partially at fault for an accident involving a vehicle. Jaywalking, or crossing in the middle of a street outside of a crosswalk. Crossing against the traffic signal. Entering a street or highway while being intoxicated. Walking along highways, bridges or causeways where pedestrian access is prohibited. Even when a pedestrian does bear some amount of blame for causing an incident, chances are that the driver of a vehicle is also partially at fault. A pedestrian might be jaywalking, but the driver might also not have been driving at a safe speed, or might have been distracted and therefore unable to stop in time. A pedestrian accident will of course change your life. The crash itself, which is terrible in itself, is only part of what you will experience of what can become a very long process of claims, determining faults, recovering and getting a closure that feels that justice has been made. You can never get your old you back, but if you get a closure that feels like justice has been made, it might be a little bit easier to cope with a new situation. If a pedestrian accident is a fatal one, there will be costs that must be covered. The average cost for a funeral in the United States is between $7,000 to $12,000 if there is a real burial. If it is with cremation, it varies between $6,000 and $7,000. Handling the economical issues and legalities will of course add additional burden above mourning. Try to get as much help as you can for the practical things. So what to do with all this information? Well, contact a pedestrian accident attorney so that he can establish whether your injuries might be grounds for a lawsuit. There is no reason to continue to endure pain just because you think that you are to blame, or that you are not aware of your rights. You should at all times contact the pedestrian accident attorney. So examples of what the law firms will do for you is start to build your case, handle all communications with insurance companies, point you in the right direction for the services that you need, medical, or if it's a fatal one, a funeral. Obtain police accident reports and thoroughly investigate the case. Interview witnesses. Collect documentary evidence to establish who is at fault and liable for damages. Negotiate a favorable settlement and take your case to trial if a settlement is not possible. When handling a pedestrian accident lawsuit, time is key. There is a statute of limitations from the date the injury occurred. Shortly after an accident, you may be contacted by an insurance company regarding a settlement. In the event that you accept such an offer, you give up all your rights to sue for more money later, even if there were unknown costs or worse than what you initially thought. Do not discuss settlements with a claims adjuster until you have consulted with an experienced attorney. Attorneys and lawyers will carefully prepare and then drive a case to completion. These professionals have been fighting for many years with cases like these, so they have a solid experience in handling such cases. When handling insurance companies, they know how to handle them in the proper way, as some of the insurance companies tend to try to get away with as little liability as they possibly can. If these lawyers go forward with a case, they will assign enough of resources to handle it. Some of them even offer 24/7 contact interfaces through apps and hotline phone numbers. It is important for you to understand that even though you have done your parts towards an insurance company, paid the premium each month to fulfill your part of agreement, have responded to their requests for documents, etc., some companies are only focusing on their own business and not on fulfilling your right to justice. The agreement you have with them outlines that if you had a pedestrian accident, medical emergency or damage of catastrophic nature, and burial cost if emergency care couldn't save the affected person, the insurance company should cover for your losses according to the terms of your mutual contract. If an insurance company denies or undervalues a claim, they may allege that the loss is excluded from the policy, or that the damages are less than what the insured is claiming or falls below the policy deductible. It might even be that the insurance company's so-called independent experts or independent adjusters have decided that no covered loss occurred and that it is excluded from the policy. When an insurance company is gathering evidence to deny a claim, they are usually very deceitful about it. They trick the policyholder into believing that they just need a little bit more time, one more document or one more statement in order to finalize and pay the full value of a claim. Do not wait until you have a problem to protect your rights and yourself. You have legal rights to require insurance companies to timely evaluate and pay the full value of your claim in good faith. If an insurance company has failed to fully pay you within 30 days, then you need legal advice from a lawyer or attorney. If an insurance company is making any unreasonable request, then you need to get legal assistance. If an insurance company is asking you for a sworn statement, you need legal assistance. If an insurance company is asking you for any unreasonable request, you need legal assistance. Way too many people wait to contact a lawyer because they think that they can't afford one. You can absolutely afford an attorney in insurance cases when you only pay if the insurance company pays you. You might lose your claims in full if you are too late in seeking legal assistance. Most law firms does not charge you anything for the initial consultation to explain your rights to you, so you don't risk anything to seek legal assistance. Pedestrian accident attorneys know how to protect your rights and hold insurance companies accountable. Contact them as soon as you can. Go to the page we link to below in the description, and then on the page you will come to fill in your email address, state and type of case, and you will then be presented the right phone number to call so that you can get to talk to the right person or the right office right away. I know that after an accident like yours, there are a lot of things to do and it's hard to keep up the pace. Therefore I suggest that you subscribe to this channel to see when we release a new video. If you also click the bell icon and set it all, then you will also get a notification. On the next page you're asked to enter your email address, your state and type of accident. With this information we will direct you to the right number to call. Good luck!